Episode 30 of Travel Bros Podcast is here. We are in Korea. Well, not actually in Korea. I'm back now, but we are going to Korea to talk about the Park Hyatt Seoul. This place, I'm a big Park Hyatt fan in general, but this place really exceeded expectations for me. And I'll tell you what, funny story, how this all came about. I had the best family room I think you could find in Seoul, or best family setup. Let me tell you how it happened. I had a client that was trying to stay in Seoul for 18 nights, 14 nights, and I was trying for the life of me to come up with a family room combo. And the Park Hyatt uh, sales manager was on top of every email the best to me, and she gave me this really cool setup that I didn't know existed. It's kind of not really listed on the website as like an offer of something to do, and my client didn't do it. And then I reached out and we ended up staying there and doing the same setup. So the cool thing is, I'll give you a little info on this hotel before I let you dig in, Jamie. Ask me some questions, but it's a unique hotel in the fact that the Park Hyatt Seoul is a standalone building and it's the whole building, right? Most hotels in Asia are a couple floors, right, or integrated
Yeah.
into something else. So this is a full 24, 25-story building. It's all Park Hyatt. The lobby is on the 24th floor.
So that's kind of cool.
It is kind of cool. There's a few things I don't like about that if I'm nitpicking, but we'll get into that. But so at the end of every floor, there is one of their premium suites. It's a Park Suite King Deluxe. And then next to it is a deluxe one bedroom. We used a king. I need to do some research. If someone reaches out and really wants to stay in one of these, I'll see if there's maybe even like a queen option or a double option for kids. And so it's at the end of the hallway, and they can actually pull an extra door out for you that separates the two rooms. So you essentially just get both rooms in with a door at the front of both doors, which turns into a nice two-bedroom suite. Pricing wise, it was super friendly. So that's how we wound up there. How are you doing, Mr. Jamie? What would you like me to
Yeah. So
info you after you tell me about this?
no, that's really cool. I actually like suites that connect like that versus a traditional connector. I think it feels more roomy as well. So I've never been to Korea, so I'm hoping you could tell me a little bit about, you know, what sold you on this one. What's the location like? Is it convenient to whatever you were doing while you were there? That kind of thing.
Sure. Now, this is a tough one. I don't think this hotel is in the best location if you were trying to check all the tourist boxes of Seoul. However, it is in I think the most amount of stuff, all of the really good food, the famous Starfield library that you've seen is right across the street. Coex Mall is there. There's a Hyundai mall there as well. From like a location standpoint, I don't think it can be beat. If you're looking to just kind of eat, hang out, and I'll get into some of the things that we did that were close by as well. When you look at what are the top 10 tourist things to do in Korea, you're going to wind up wanting to be a little more up north. So maybe a split trip. The Four Seasons has a great location for some of that stuff, if that's kind of more what you are looking for. So this hotel is actually celebrating its 20-year anniversary, which is kind of cool. One thing you will see, I have a full video that I'm going to make of this family room tour. So that's something you can go into our room tour section of our YouTube and you'll be able to see. One negative that's out of this hotel's control is there is perpetual construction going on outside this hotel. From what it was explained to me is that the Korean subway system built their subway too deep into the ground, and so it's now sinking. So they're rebuilding it above where it used to be. And so when you look out the window, they've dug up all the roads here. It's just everywhere in this whole general little area. It didn't really make that much noise. It didn't really bother me. Maybe, I was on floor 10, so I wasn't even that high up at the hotel. Maybe I was on floor 15. Either way, I think if you're real sensitive to noise, you could maybe consider going somewhere else. It wasn't like they were just blasting jackhammers by my window at any time or something like that. That did not really bother me that much. Before we dig in, Jamie, why don't you tell us real quick? I booked a Hyatt Prive rate for this stay, but why don't you tell us, as booking through us, what can someone get at this hotel?
Yeah, with Hyatt Prive, it's probably, I mean, I know I probably said this every episode, but It's one of my favorite programs for a couple reasons. So one, you're going to get breakfast for two daily, $100 property credit, welcome amenity of some sort. But what really I think sets Privé apart is typically we can confirm an upgrade of one category for you within 24 hours of booking. Now, this is subject to like forecasted occupancy. So if you're going at a peak time, like a New Year's or a holiday or something like that, we may not be able to do that. But for the most part, if it's off peak or just normal travel season, there's some good value in getting a one category upgrade, and we can kind of steer you in the right direction on which room's going to give you the most bang for your buck. And then also early check-in, late checkout based on availability. So some really good value to be had with Hyatt Privé. Like I said, it's probably one of our favorite programs to book.
Definitely. Now, I was told by the sales manager here that the room, the family suite we were talking about, is not upgradable from Privé. Like that is a room that has to be booked directly. Just as a case in point note. But the premium for the suite is really not that bad. It threw on, I want to say like $150 over a standard room. And from the best way I
Oh,
can tell
wow.
in their layouts, yeah, the best way I can tell in their layouts too, they have one per floor. So there's like 22 of these family suite options per room. So I think they'll generally be available. And some of the Privé special offers they've got going on right now at this hotel is, something we were able to get some benefit from is if you stay 4 nights or longer, they're giving you 20% off the member rate as a Privé rate. So the Privé rate was significantly cheaper for us. We stayed 7 nights at this property, which was really nice. Our welcome amenity was a bottle of wine and an insane amount of chocolate. They actually
Nice.
had a Park Hyatt Seoul chocolate bar that was like embossed with Park Hyatt Seoul on it, which is kind of cool. And then we got a little sample box of chocolates. They gave my daughter a little bear. It was actually from the guest experience manager gave it to her when we ran into her, I think, at breakfast. And so that was also cool. And then they do have a note as well. They do a lot of other adjoining rooms. So I think there's just a lot of flexibility and possibility there for that. Something cool if you're going with a baby. They have a VIB program, which is a very important baby program at this hotel. And the hotel offers complimentary gifts for those staying in guest rooms with babies under the age of 3, which includes a doll, complimentary gifts such as a Park Hyatt Seoul cookie, float toy, special skincare amenities for babies under the age of 3. And they even have like mini slippers
That's cute.
and robes for kids and stuff as well. So that's a nice touch. If you are staying there with a baby as well, let me pull up these rooms and we can go into some details there. I don't
While you're pulling that up, I got a question for you. And this
Sure.
probably is more for maybe people that don't travel a ton or haven't been to Korea like myself. Did you find any language barrier at the hotel, or how
Well,
was that?
I would
Or do you speak
honestly,
Korean?
no, I don't speak Korean, but I was with my mother-in-law who was born there and my wife who's conversational. I will say this, you've been to Japan, correct? I think Koreans speak far better than Japanese people at English. So if you've been fine in Japan, you will have no problem in Korean. In fact, a lot of Koreans can speak English with an American accent almost. It's kind of interesting. But yeah, I had no problem. Now I was with, like I said, my aunt and mother-in-law who, grew up there and lived there. So I didn't have to do a lot of talking generally to the staff there. Yeah, so like this is a good example. This premium suite that I stayed in is 715,000 won and a base room is 500,000 won. So 250,000 won to USD is, yeah, it's $184 difference between a premium suite and a base room here. I got a couple notes about Korea, which might be helpful for you and some other people who have not been. Apple Pay will not work in this country anywhere. And in fact, it will not work in places that tell you they will take Apple Pay. So just pretend Apple Pay does not exist. If you have
Okay,
Samsung
that's good
Pay,
to
I
know.
think it seems to work everywhere. Now, one thing I hated about Korea is they prevent Google Maps from working. So you can't do
Interesting.
driving directions or walking directions in Google Maps. You can do public transit directions, but I never used public transit. So that was a relevant feature for me at the time. Kakao Maps is the one I recommend. A lot of people will tell you to use Naver. Naver is the most confusing app I've ever used in my life. Naver is like an all-in-one app for Koreans, from what I gathered. But imagine if you had one app that was Facebook, TikTok, Google Maps, Apple Pay. There's too much going on. So Cacao Maps was my savior. Naver, I had a problem too. Like Naver won't take the English version of a address. So like I would have to like type it in Google Maps, then pull the Korean words and then like paste it, right? And then I'm like nervous. I'm like, did it work? Cacao Maps is a great tip. So that is very disappointing. I did not appreciate that at all. If you're going to do public transit, you need a T Money card. You can do T Money loads at 7-Eleven. There's an infinite amount of 7-Elevens. Unlike Japan, most 7-Elevens in Korea are 24 hours as well, which is awesome. You can load T Money cards with credit cards at 7-Eleven. So, if it's convenient, you don't need debit card or cash to do it. You can use those, but like if you just have your international foreign transaction fee credit card, you're set. One downside is if you're flying into Incheon Airport, it is really far. If you are looking at a cheap option, they actually have a airport transfer bus terminal that's based at the mall across the street from the Park Hyatt. And from what I understand, we did not use it, but it operates as like an airport, like you check in your luggage at the bus and they take it and that's it. Like you never see your luggage again. Like they have the
Oh, that's
airport,
kind of nice.
the airline desks and stuff there, so it's like a secure transfer from there. It's cheap. It's like a huge, like luxury VIP bus type experience. If you have the budget, I would just use Klook. It's Klook if you're booking on your own. There's a lot of options, different cars. Some will even give you like the specific type of car you want. We flew in and out of Gimpo Airport, which GMP is the airport code there. If you have the option, that's fantastic. You've pretty much already got to be in Asia, though. They don't really take a lot of long haul international flights, but GMP is like in the city. It's like in the heart of Seoul. It's about a 20-30 minute ride to the Park Hyatt, whereas Incheon is like an hour. It's half the time. I think those were a lot of my experience notes that I had. The Apple Pay thing really drove me crazy, though. Apple Pay not working anywhere.
Yeah, that's
Can't
pretty
really fault
crazy.
the hotel for that. But that was one of the downsides I really had.
How
The
did you, I know you said you flew to the closer airport, but did you use Klook to get there, or what was the easiest way for you to get to the hotel?
We took Klook from the airport to the hotel, and then my aunt drove us to the airport back. The experience there is incredible. It was like the international terminal, I think, has like two or three gates. And
That's
so
awesome.
there was not a single person in line at security. I almost said TSA. There's security, and there was
Yeah,
zero
yeah.
people in line at immigration. I mean, you were through in 4 or 5 minutes. It was incredible. So all that experience was great getting in and out of there. It was really fast. And so I pulled some pricing. So the hotel I'm going to tell you about is called the Park Suite King, is what I stayed in. And this is the suite that's on the end of the property here.
All right. So I know you had a really cool connecting option. What was what's a base room size wise, compared to this suite? Because I know we said it's $180 or so to upgrade from a base room to kind of this next level up suite.
Yes,
What
I
kind of
don't
square
actually think
footage?
the base room there is 450 square feet, let's call it. And this premium suite is 753 square feet. Yeah. And I pulled some pricing, which I don't think made it in the initial episode, but it's about a 250,000 Korean won difference, which is about $180 to pay up for this premium. So one of the cool things is it's a corner suite. They're all in that same corner. They're the very end of the hotel on one side. And you have a great desk working setup. You have a humongous oversized bathroom, and then the bathroom is actually all the way against the glass. And then inside the shower is also a bathtub. So it's like an all in one, like
Oh, like a wet
jumbo.
room. Yeah, I like that.
I do like that a lot. And then if you like washing your feet, there's even like a foot washing nozzle there. And then you've got it is a true suite. Like the bedroom when you walk in is on the same side of the shower. So like when you lay in bed, you're overlooking Gangnam and that whole side of Seoul. And they've got blackout curtains you can drop, and then the whatever see-through curtains as well. And then you have little sliders that you can actually make your bedroom like a true bedroom. And then from what I gathered and when I remembered when I was talking for my friends that were trying to use this suite, they'll bring a rollaway into this suite as well. So you can get
Oh,
like
that's
an
nice.
extra if you've got some kids.
Does the couch fold out or no? Probably not.
I don't think so. No, because it's like a weird shape. There's no way. It's like a
Okay.
crescent shaped, trendy couch. So I don't think so, unless I'm remembering incorrectly. But you've got a
All right, here I got a
65-inch.
random. I got a random. Oh, sorry.
No, you're fine. Hit me.
I had a random room question. So I'm looking at the layout of the room, and it's just
Okay.
a like AutoCAD kind of layout. Is there a
Hmm.
cooktop in there? Like by the? Is there?
That's what's funny. I saw that too. And there isn't one, but there's also like a station where like they do have like these I don't know what you call it, like a kettle hot pot setup thing to like make tea.
Okay, that's. I think that's probably what I'm looking at.
Yeah, but they do present it kind of odd in that setup, I will agree. Yeah, so then one of the things, this is actually one of the first hotels I've stayed at that uses the Nespresso Virtuo coffee system, which is like the big circular puck round ones. I think most people use those. Like those are, I think, far more consumer side than most of the commercial side is the small ones, the Nespresso originals. So that was cool. There were a lot of tea options, like I mentioned. I really like the desk separation. One thing that we were told by someone is at night, if you bring down, you really need to bring down the blackout curtains or it is kind of see through from like the street level. So just something to keep in mind. Because, the shower has a full size, your whole room has full size windows exposing you everywhere. So, before you take your nighttime tub or something of that nature. But it's there's nothing like overly impressive or something that you're just going to go, wow, this is a crazy hotel. But it functionally was really nice. I never felt like I was in the way. The toilet itself is like on the other side of the bathroom with like a door, so there's some good privacy there. An insane amount of storage. So like what separates the living room and the bathroom is actually like two-way sliding closets. So like theoretically, you could open them and kind of see straight through the room, but then you
Okay.
could put your suitcase in, access it from the living room, and then like if you needed something, but then when you go to the bathroom side, you could open the doors and access it to get dressed. Right. So like,
Nice.
you
It's a
would
nice setup.
it was very well thought out, I thought, there as well. I was really happy with it. And then it was attached. My mother-in-law also stayed with us. So she stayed on the other room. It is a one king premium, which comes in at 52 square meters. If we convert those to freedom units, that is 560 square feet. So
Good
it's
size room.
it's 100 square feet bigger. Yeah. And then you've got the same thing. You have a great view. There's like a big lounger chair. There's even a nice little desk to do same thing. Bathroom is also oversized, kind of the same setup. She had a slightly smaller TV and a few things if you really want to, nitpick. I think she had a 10-inch smaller TV. Um, yeah. Oh, and there's like a real like decent full size mirror in the bathroom as well. Park Hyatts generally, I think almost all of them have the Labo products for, soap and shampoo and stuff, which I really dug there. And even this premium is only, I would almost pay the premium to get that extra 100 square feet and that better viewing side in the corner of the hotel too, because on the dates that I'm pulling up and looking around with the Prive 20% off, it's $50 a night
Oh yeah, that's a
off.
no-brainer in my opinion.
Yeah. And, even if it's not, we can try and position that. I think you'd have to book a city view, about $15 more a night. So then hopefully you get the Prive upgrade path that way to get into that. One cool thing is it does look like now that I'm looking at it that they do have some two twin bed options for that as well. So, I mean, if you think about it, start looking at what some of the occupancy requirements are, but you've got your one king bed suite, you've got a two twin bed, and if you can bring a rollaway in too, I mean, you're packing them in there. You got 6 or 7 kids, you're set up here for sure. I think that covers the rooms pretty well. Like I said, there's nothing like really like it's just a very well functioning property. You got any other questions on that, or where should we move to on the property?
No, I think it's rooms. I'm going to ask you about I think one of my favorite things at most hotels that hopefully you got to experience. From the pictures I've seen, the pool looks awesome here. The fitness center sounds really cool. So I'm hoping you may be able to hit on kind of how's the fitness center set up? Is this pool really as cool as it looks? Like what was your experience there?
So the spa is really great. It's on the 23rd floor, and I'm going to give you a tip. And another nitpicking thing I didn't love about the property is I mentioned the lobby's on the 24th floor, and from a privacy standpoint, it's great. There's guest elevators, and then there's like the rest of the hotel elevator. You have to go up to the lobby to get to your room pretty much anytime you're doing anything. So, like, breakfast is on the second floor. You had to go up to the 24th floor, change elevators, go down to the second floor. Right. So there's like no way to get from like breakfast to your room. There's no way to like leave the hotel from your room. So you're doing a lot of elevator riding. However, the spa is the 23rd floor. You can't access the spa. And like during busy times, I actually like just going to the spa and switching elevators there versus going up to the lobby. So that was a good little tip. We did not do the pool because this was early in the trip and my daughter was very against wearing a swim cap.
That's what I was. That's good to know. So similar to Japan, like gotta have a swim cap to go in the pool.
Yes, they are available for purchase, but I just recommend bringing one on your own. By the time we got to Taipei, my daughter no longer cared about wearing a swim cap because she wanted to swim. But then what's funny is that hotel didn't require it and she still wore one. So I was like, well, this is kind of ridiculous. You're also not supposed to be wearing makeup. I don't know how they really enforce that rule. They make you wipe your face or, you are required to shower before using the pool as well. So that presumably it would wash off your makeup, I guess. There is no use of like water toys or anything like that in the pool. There is like a lifeguard or like a hall monitor pseudo situation there. So I guess some of these things can be enforced, but the pool is up on the 24th floor, like on the roof. You go through the spa, and I think I was telling you, you've got to walk up a couple of flights of stairs and you get to the swimming pool is to your left. And then to the right is a really gorgeous gym setup, great views. I didn't actually swim. I didn't actually use the gym. I was doing a lot of,
Man,
I know, I was doing a lot of
a lot of
running.
running.
Just yeah, I'm back into my getting close to the Chicago Marathon, focusing on that running there. But I did walk around the gym. I got some great content. It's all techno gym stuff, which I'm sure most people are familiar with. They have some self-propelled treadmills. They had some bikes, no Pelotons to be seen or anything of that nature. Sorry for you Pelotoners trying to get your 1,000 Hyatt points a month, right? For your 20-minute bike
Oh, I
ride.
forgot about that.
Yeah, unavailable at this hotel. That is interesting. I think that goes on. Is there even an end date for that? I'm not sure.
That I don't know.
Oh, anyway, if you are a Hyatt person and you like Hyatt points, I think they will give you 500 points per 20-minute plus bike ride, and you can get it twice a month. So 1,000 points a month. But they had some squat racks here, free weights. I don't remember seeing kettlebells, but they had a lot of barbell options. They have some of those cool like bench machines, squat machine, all the like multi-purpose machines.
Yeah.
So I feel like you'd be okay. There was even somebody when I was there they had like I don't know if it was like a hotel private trainer or like someone had like their private trainer in there doing like weightlifting and
Okay.
such. I will say there was like two little slots for like yoga mats and things, but like when I was in there, it was even a little busy and I wanted to stretch and I just kind of ended up stretching somewhere else. There's not a lot of like free and open space there, but there's a ton of equipment. I'm sure if you went during like some more off hours times, you probably could use the place. I think I ran and walked in there at like 7 a.m., which is obviously going to be like peak gym usage
Prime
time.
time.
I walked through the pool and around a little bit. You definitely get some real gorgeous views of the city and Coex Mall from there as well that I think, are real memorable. What else do you want me to get into here? Oh, and my wife did a facial. I really liked the massage and everything she got with that as well. So that is what we used our Prive credit for.
I
It's
was gonna
well
say,
worth it.
how did the pricing seem for like spa treatments?
I want to say she did like a facial with massage for like 220.
Okay.
So with our
I mean,
credit, it
that
was
seems
like
pretty reasonable then.
$120. Yeah, not too bad.
I guess my other question, talk about, I mean, we're doing Privé. What was the breakfast situation like there?
Perfect. So the breakfast situation it's on the second floor in a restaurant called Cornerstone. I really liked it. It's probably my second favorite breakfast of this 4 hotel Asia trip we did. It's a pretty decent buffet, and then there is a fixed like order menu. Like you can get eggs and a couple things, pancakes, French toast, like things that were made. I really loved their omelets were incredible. They were like same way you get them in a lot of Japan, like they're real soft.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how they make them like that. So I was a huge fan. They had great yogurt and granola. They had a pretty well split. I would say maybe like a 70% Western side, 30% Korean. So there was like They had a steak carving station there every day that had amazing steak. I'm not a big steak for breakfast guy, but if you are, that was an option. There were some days they didn't rotate a lot. Like I feel like a lot of hotels do every other day, like, hey, we're gonna give you this day, this that day.
Yep.
There wasn't a lot of rotation, and we stayed there 7 nights. So some of the breakfast stuff did like wear on me by the end. Not that it wasn't good, but I was just like, okay, I could use some other options. They did rotate a few things. Like some days they would have like spicy Korean pork, and then bulgogi or karbi, like marinated some days. They had a lot of Korean stews, something else I don't really love for breakfast, but huge pastry section. Some of the best fruit. They had great kiwi, pineapple, watermelon, dragon fruit. If you're not a dragon fruit fan, or you think you don't like dragon fruit, I highly suggest trying some in Asia. It's like a little, looks like they cut it almost like an apple and has a bunch of little black seeds in it. But I do really love some dragon fruit there. The staff was on top of it. I think after 4 or 5 nights, I ordered the same omelet every day. My daughter ordered waffles same day. They pretty much knew our order. Coffee options there were really good. They had a lot of different lattes. I'm a black coffee drinker, but my wife and mother-in-law both really like the latte options. Had apple juice for my daughter. I got Coke Zero a couple mornings. All in all, I was really happy with it. It wasn't overly crowded down there. I came sometimes really early for breakfast, sometimes really late. We took some pastries with us most days. They gave us a little to-go box and we brought a few
Oh, that's
pastries
nice.
back with us and stuff too, which was, always appreciated.
I was gonna say, did you eat anywhere else while you were on property or just breakfast mainly?
I sure didn't. In the basement, there's like a sushi restaurant. I just come from Japan, so it wasn't really on the top list. And I think that's one of the best things about Park Hyatt Seoul is Gangnam is like hip is not the right word, but it's kind of like a Beverly Hills equivalent. Like it's a very like high-end, wealthy, fancy part of Korea. And there's a lot of offices around there. There's no reason to eat at the hotel. I'm sure some of
Yep.
the hotel options are fine, but I mean, you can step out of there and be at there's probably 500 restaurants within a 5 to 10 minute walk. And it's probably not even an exaggeration, including a McDonald's that you can walk to
There we
right
go.
on the other side of the train station. There's a really great chicken restaurant that's like right outside the Park Hyatt Seoul. I think I tagged it.
That was going to be my other question. If you had any suggestions for
Yeah,
nearby dining.
I don't even know how to say this. It's called KKNBU Chicken. It's like a fried chicken takeaway place with booze. Incredible. Korean fried chicken is just, if you're a chicken person, they're so good at frying chicken in Korea and doing different combos with it. It's not, it is spicy. I wouldn't say it's very like overly spicy though. Like I wouldn't get too, don't be too afraid, I guess, as I would say.
Yeah.
And then right across the street from the hotel is a place called Four Stones Coffee Roasters, which was incredible. And there was quite a few coffee. There were so many places I found I didn't even get time to eat and do. And then, like I mentioned, if you pull up this place it's like the Hyundai department store. The basement has a really good food court. And then Coex Mall, which is across the street, which you'll want to go visit anyway, just to see the Starfield Library, which is famous. You've seen that before. That mall in Coex probably has another good 100, 200 restaurants, strewn around there as well. So there's just so much to do there. I mean, like I said, I stayed for a week and I did not run out of things to dig into. And then we took my daughter to Lotte World, which is a famous amusement park there. It is mostly indoors, which, man, talk about something I never thought I would appreciate. But an indoor water park or indoor amusement park is incredible, especially,
What was the temperature
Korea
like when you were there?
we're like right on the peak and start of monsoon season. Well, we got no rain in the 7 days that we were there, but it was 85 during the day, 95% humidity.
Oh, yeah. Indoors nice.
Not really wanting to be outside. So it's indoor amusement park and it looks like it's outdoor. It has a huge glass top. And like, listen, if you're going to compare it to like Disney or something, it's not it by any means. The theming is definitely like a little on the weaker side, but it's cheap. There's a lot of food. Oh, here's a great tip. If you flew on Korean Air to get to Korea, if you bring your ticket stub, and we didn't even have our ticket stubs, we managed to show them our email confirmation and that worked. You get 30% off tickets to this amusement park.
That's a great deal.
Yeah. So that's definitely have that handy. Yeah, but anyway, there's a few roller coasters and there's like a fake Magic Kingdom castle outside that you can do, and there's like a big drop thing, but most of the park is indoor. So I think especially with younger kids, like my daughter was able to make it so much further right through the day. Food at Lotte World's not the best, but if you leave the actual park itself at some point, there's a lot of good options in a mall that's also attached to that kind of area. You've got to go to a certain floor and walk across into another mall. It's a little confusing. Sure, you can figure it out. We're not an amusement park podcast. There's a lot of Western chains inside the amusement park, like Outback Steakhouse. So, like, if you're just really
Okay.
missing
Want
Outback
some comfort
Steakhouse,
food?
yeah, I think there's a Domino's Pizza as well, and like maybe there's a Cinnabon. There's some other options as well, but you're not missing much by eating there. But I do think and that's probably a 5-10 minute cab ride, or I think it's one train stop from the Park Hyatt. So the Park Hyatt does have two of the train lines like right under it. And if you like, we have a client who always has to go to the highest point of every city. So if you're into that as well, that is also right there. It's called like Seoul Tower, which
Okay.
we checked out. Oh, that might not be the right name of it.
So I'm going to throw
Point.
this fun fact out while you're pulling that up.
Hit me.
This Lotte World,
Uh-huh.
largest indoor amusement park in the world.
Well, see, there you go.
That's pretty impressive. I'm just looking at pictures. It's really cool.
Yeah, it is super cool. And like I said, you're not going to get Disney theming, but I think we paid with our 30% discount. It was like $80 for the three of
Oh
us
yeah,
to
you
go
can't
for
beat
the
that.
day. You can't beat that. And then the thing is, there's a lot of rides and a lot of like things hidden about. And like my daughter's like kind of a scaredy cat when it comes to parks, but there was a lot to do. There's like a little monorail that runs the whole place. And then there's all these floors and levels. There's like one of those indoor, oh, this is kind of cool. You know, the big pirate ships that rock back and forth? There's one of
Yeah,
those inside.
that's cool.
So like the thought of doing that, and since kind of, well, there's a splash mountain that's also indoor, like a
Yeah,
splash mountain.
the pictures look really
Buff.
impressive.
Yeah, it is. It's certainly, I think for what you pay and, what you do, it's a great deal. Now, if you want to act like a local, I find this really interesting. People go on dates here, like kids, and they wear, it's essentially like a school uniform. Think like, picture like
Okay.
dressing up like Harry
Yeah, yeah.
Potter. So like do like Lotte World, like school uniform rental. And I'm sure you'll find a million pictures of this, but I would say 70% of the people at this park are wearing these school uniforms. And so much so that there's like multiple businesses at this amusement park renting you these uniforms. It was
You,
unreal to me, but
you didn't do it to get a picture?
I didn't. But
Next time.
it was just, if you want a real cultural experience, perhaps is something cool and creative you could do. But I really like the park. Like I said, I liked being indoors. It's the world's largest indoor amusement park. There's a lot of stuff to do. There was a lot of like little kid rides. We didn't really wait in line too long for anything, which is always a bonus. That's one of my big things. We didn't plan anything either. As someone I don't want to call myself anti-Disney, but I'm not pro Disney either. Like, you could never have a good experience at Disney, right? Just showing up one morning at noon and just,
Yeah, you need a little planning.
right. So we had no planning, no expectation. Then Lotte World Mall also has an aquarium, which we didn't do, but at Coex Mall across from the Park Hyatt Seoul, they also have an aquarium. And if you're and then the bottom floor of the Lotte World amusement park has like a full on, like humongous ice rink. Another option is something you could do there. But well, yeah, I'm cool. I'm glad you shared that though. That is kind of cool. That is the largest indoor amusement park. I guess I hadn't even considered that from a size perspective. Let me pull up my notes, see what else we have or have not covered. Here's another cool one. I went to a baseball game in Korea.
Ooh, I bet that was fun.
It was really fun. Let me tell you, not easy to get tickets. Very
Interesting.
complicated. With my mother-in-law being born there, my aunt who lives there, and the hotel concierge. It took the three of them to get us tickets. The concierge was actually the most helpful there. So if you are staying at the Park Hyatt, they can definitely help you. One problem you run into is you need a local phone number, and you need that person's phone number, date of birth, and other info to actually like purchase and pick up the tickets from will call. However, what the concierge had told us was that she literally wrote out in Korean for us to hand to them, like, I want these tickets this much. She was like, you can just go to the box office and hand them this and they'll purchase it for you. And she's like, if you have a problem, call me. So she was super helpful.
That's
However,
nice.
with my relative living there, we just used all her information and picked it up. The tickets were cheap. It was $18.
Oh, wow.
We sat down the first base, third base line on the away team. Now, there's a stadium very close to the Park Hyatt. However, they're like one of the best teams in Korea. So they were like sold out for the games we went to. So we took an Uber about 30 minutes away and went to a different stadium. That stadium was also indoors, which was nice. But yeah, Korean baseball is a lot of fun. I highly recommend trying to do that if you're in town during baseball season. Like I said, Park Hyatt Seoul Concierge was a big help. I'm sure if you stay at another hotel that has a competent concierge, they can help you as well. But yeah, the game we went to it was a lot of fun. And then I will say the food options at the stadium were also, I was pretty impressed. Like a lot of the food was cheap. It was pretty decent. They had fried chicken, churros, ice cream, some kind of fish I saw people were eating. Just a lot of different options. I was pretty excited by it. The food was generally far cheaper than what you would think. I mean, even the tickets, right, being that cheap.
Yeah,
$18. And I think we bought a lot of stuff, churros, ice cream, French fries, fried chicken, and I think we maybe spent another 20, $25
that's crazy.
for the game. So it's pretty fun. They didn't seem to have merchandise booths at the game. Like you couldn't buy a lot of merch there, so we didn't have merch with us, which was unfortunate. But pre-purchase your merch perhaps. Um,
It's funny you say that. Do you think like merchandise and wearing like jerseys and stuff to the game is a very American thing, or were there people there wearing jerseys you just couldn't buy them there?
oh, I would say most people were wearing jerseys.
Okay.
Yeah.
I found it odd when I went to a football game over in Europe. I found it
Uh-huh.
strange that it was not like there wasn't a bunch of people wearing jerseys and hats and stuff of like the home team. So I was curious if that was similar there.
Yeah, you see it sometimes, but also like a lot of the European teams have like, especially like I'm an Arsenal fan. They make their own lines of like high-end clothes too. So people could be wearing that stuff. And
Interesting.
I have noticed in Europe though, people are way more scarf heavy than clothes heavy.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
But it's also cold. So, there's probably not a lot of times a year you want to be wearing a thin, breathable t-shirt in most of Europe as well. So at least during
I
soccer
just I
season.
thought it was funny when you said no merch. I was like, oh, maybe they don't do merch there either.
Yeah, well, there were a lot of people wearing baseball jerseys, and the team we actually watched has a collab jersey with Peanuts
Oh, that's kind
that
of fun.
looked pretty, yeah, that looked pretty cool. So I was like, I would have probably picked one up given the opportunity. I'm not a big merch guy, but it was, part of the fun experience there. We also went to the Samsung amusement park, which I don't know if I really recommend. Yeah, it's called Everland, which you could look up and consider going to. It is not close to the Park Hyatt. So, I wouldn't necessarily combo those. It does have an on the border if you really,
Oh,
you
get you
know,
some cheese dip.
if you really need a throwback. It's really fun. It's really big and it's kind of like everything. There's like a mall there, there's a zoo, there's amusement park rides, there's a water park. So it's probably almost a trip in itself. We did get to see some pandas, which I thought was really cool. I hadn't seen pandas in a long, long time. So that was fun. And then another place I can give a shout if you have kids and you're staying at the Park Hyatt, it is a place called Vance, which I'm pretty sure is just the word bounce in phonetic English Korean translation. This place was dirt cheap. It was $11 for like a 2 hour pass. And kids are still in school there, and we weren't in school. So it was pretty much empty. You had to buy grip socks, but it was almost like an urban air. Like think of just,
Okay.
your typical urban air setup in America. But then they had all these like virtual stations where they had like a pitching machine station, right? They had like a soccer field. They had a couple other like weird virtual reality games. They had these cool obstacle courses they had built out. And then like most of the urban areas, you could like walk up and do like I don't know what you call that, but like you're suspended on the roof and you go from like station to station and do that stuff.
Yeah. Almost
They
like a
had
ropes
20
course type thing.
yeah, they had 20 or 30 trampolines, and then they had a whole arcade. The arcade was free with your
Oh, that's
$11,
awesome.
so it's just, I mean, it's not a big arcade, but it's got basketball, air hockey,
Oh yeah.
a couple gun games, I think an initial D racing game. We ended up eating there too. The food is pretty decent. Now, mind you, this is in the basement of some random office park, but it's like an 8 minute walk from the Park Hyatt or like
Okay.
a $3 or $4 cab ride. So that was also, really cool. And like I said, if you are in Korea, you could definitely build a trip around this property and have an incredible time. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I didn't really cover. I feel like we went pretty good detail. I'm pretty happy with our
Yeah,
coverage.
especially on city hotel,
I know, yeah, exactly. There was a lot going
like
on.
non-resort property to get 30, 40 minutes out of it's pretty good.
Correct. Seoul Sky is the observation deck that we went to. I think it's in like the Lotte Tower in that mall. But you'll find there's a lot of stuff going on in malls in Korea, very similar to like a Dubai type setup or something like that. If you're unadventurous too, there's a lot of Western food options within near the Park Hyatt if you need it. Dunkin' Donuts, like I said, McDonald's, Starbucks. I think some other chains you can find nearby and around. So like you can get a lot of familiar food there too if you're not wanting to be Dora the Explorer on your venture. I think one other thing I can cover too before we go, when you get over to from the Park Hyatt, if you look at it on a map, there's like a river that runs up through. That is an incredible bike path, running path. You can go both ways on it. I actually would recommend that you go north, like you start heading towards the rest of Seoul. I went the other way and there's a lot of bugs and things, but this running track has full like bathroom setups and services. There were even some people that had set up, there was like someone that had set up a van with like a bike shop. Most mornings I'd see like police presence, like they're just like police monitoring that general area. There's a lot of like workout stuff. And in fact, there's even some like coffee shops and different things like on this running path, like pretty much. So it was great. It was never too crowded. The sun comes up way too early in the summer. So I was always running in the sun, which is a bit unfortunate. But you get a nice breeze off the water. And then you have all these opportunities to run there too. And you don't have to worry about like red lights, stoplights, and things. You can get on that trail in less than 3-4 minutes from the Park Hyatt, which is also great. Yeah, so I ran all the way to the Rainbow Bridge, I want to say, and back up on that path. It was miserably hot. So I must say. It's also miserably hot now back in Texas. So I'm just kind of gone full circle.
Getting used to it.
Yeah, into myself. But I think that's it. I think, message us if you want to go to Korea and book. And then I'm going to be covering Taiwan and Japan in some future episodes from this trip as well. So you'll, kind of be able to tag along. But Seoul was definitely one of my favorites. I highly recommend the property, especially for people with families heading out.
I think, and you may hit this in when you do your Hong Kong. You do Disneyland Hong Kong?
I did do Disneyland Hong Kong, but I was not planning on covering a full episode. But what do you need to know about Disney Hong Kong?
No, not that. I thought we could, when you do Hong Kong, I just went, you just went, kind of see. I want to hear what you thought about it when we hit that episode.
We'll have to cover that. I wasn't planning on doing a full episode on that hotel, but maybe we'll integrate it into something else. I was actually considering at the end of the year doing like hotels we stayed at that we didn't talk about.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Maybe we'll cover it in there, but we'll see. I'm open to it. I'm open to some suggestions. But anyway, please book with us, please. And any way we can help, we'd love to enjoy this episode. And we're going to be talking about the World Cup, I think, next week. So that should be exciting.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
All right, see you.